Hey there, guitar fanatics. Do you ever feel lost on the fretboard, like you're playing the same patterns over and over? Well, that's where pentatonic pathways come in. You know, pentatonic scales are the foundation of rock, blues, country, and many other genres. But they can also be limiting if you don't know how to navigate them. By learning what I call the pentatonic pathways, you're going to be able to navigate the different positions of the pentatonic scale seamlessly. No more feeling stuck in one area of the neck. These pathways are essentially connecting notes that are going to allow you to slide up and down the fretboard with ease. And the best part, you don't need to know theory or be an advanced player to start using them. So if you want to take your playing to the next level and unlock the mystery of the fretboard, start incorporating these pentatonic pathways into your practice routines. Hey, thanks for watching today. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for lots more useful licks, tricks, and lessons. Now let's get into this. So when using pentatonic scales to solo, it's really common to get stuck in one place on the neck because we usually learn these pentatonic scales in what we call boxes. And then we see and hear players like Joe Bonamassa, Eric Gales, and Eric Johnson fly up and down the length of the fretboard, playing primarily pentatonic scales. But they are able to link the patterns together in such a way that it makes the movement up and down the neck super fluid and seamless. Those great players are using what I call the pentatonic pathways, not just to connect the patterns, but to add both speed and fluidity to their licks. You know, one of the reasons that shredders can play so fast is they play lots of notes on the same string. You know, in licks like that, they also sort of max out the notes they play on a string by playing notes up and back, so the pattern sort of repeats. Playing pentatonic boxes with two notes a string, we're at a huge disadvantage if we're trying to get that same kind of speed and fluidity. This is why we need the pentatonic pathways. So here is our pentatonic pathways master concept. We're going to identify certain spots in our pentatonic boxes where we can most easily play three notes on a string. And we're going to capitalize on those spots, not only to move between patterns, but to develop sequences that we can play up and back to add both speed and fluidity to our licks. Just like Joe Bonamassa, Eric Gales, and Eric Johnson. So check this out. So phase one of our concept, let's take a look at patterns 1 and 2 of A minor pentatonic. And what are we looking for? Places in the layout of the patterns where there are notes that are just one whole step or 2 frets apart. If we look at the G, B, and high E strings, and we go between pattern 1 and pattern 2, we're going to see that we've got notes a whole step apart at the 7th and 9th frets of the G string. We've got notes that are 2 frets apart at the 8th and 10th fret of both the B and the high E. So what can that do for us? Well, let's create a lick by playing the 5th and 7th frets of the D and G string, 4 notes right out of the box shape like we normally would. And here's where we start to make things different. We're going to reach up with our pinky and we're going to grab the E at the 9th fret of the G string. After we play that E, we're going to retrace our steps and we're going to play the 7th and 5th frets again. So that gives us the first of what I'm going to call a master shape. We've created a 7-note pattern that we can get some speed on because we're playing 5 notes on that G string. Now, a note about picking. Probably the easiest way to do that is to pick the first 5 notes and then pull off to the D and C notes on the G string. If you're interested in trying to pick every note, I did a video not long ago called Pentatonic Speed Secrets that you can find here. But that involves learning a whole new picking system. It's a lot of work. This is much easier and it sounds great. You just have to make sure that those pull-offs are clean. Let's take this lick one step further. We're going to play our 7 notes. And then we're going to play the 7th fret of the D string, followed by the 7th fret of the G string, and then pull off to the 5th fret. And then we're going to go back to the 7th fret of our D. The whole thing sounds like this. And now we've got an 11-note pattern that sounds fluid and slippery due to the back and forth repeating nature and those pull-offs. And guess what? Because of that whole step that we talked about on the B and the high E strings, we can play the exact same pattern on those strings too. Check it out. The next step would be to mix things up a bit so it doesn't sound quite so obvious that we're playing patterns. We can play something like this. Or something like this. Experiment, have fun coming up with licks. Listen to the two Erics, Gales and Johnson and Joe Bonamassa for inspiration. Now, let's get to the next phase of our Pentatonic Pathways concept, and that is transitioning between patterns. Now we're going to look again at our old box patterns of the minor pentatonic scale, and we're going to be looking for that whole step interval between the patterns, and we're going to use that interval as a portal to transition between the pentatonic shapes. Let's start with that first lick that we played. We're in A minor, pattern 1, and we're going to play the 5th and 7th frets on the D and G string. And then instead of fretting the E at the 9th fret like we did before, we're going to slide into it. So now we're in minor pentatonic pattern 2. And here's the really awesome thing about this. This fingering pattern of the lick we just played, it now repeats. We've got the same notes we just played up an octave at frets 8 and 10 of the B and E string. So play those and then slide into the note at the 12th fret. That's our E note again. So we've pretty effortlessly created a nice 2-octave lick. And we can finish it off by playing, say, the 10th fret on the E, and then the 13th and 10th on the B string. Very Eric Johnson-like. Now, we could play a version of that pattern in which we descend from the E at the 12th fret all the way back down the neck. This time, we're going to be using the D note at the 10th fret on the high E string to slide to the 8th. So that D note is now our transition point. So we're going to go from pattern 3 to pattern 2. And then we're going to play the 10th and 8th frets on the B string. Now we've got another E note at the 9th fret of the G string, and the whole pattern is going to repeat. We use that D note at the 7th fret of the G string to slide to the C at the 5th of the G string, and now we're back to pattern 1. Then we play the 7th and 5th fret on our D string, and the pattern is going to repeat again because now we've got another E note at the 7th fret of the A string. We've got the D slide to the C at the 3rd fret of the A string, and we're going to end up at pattern 5, and we're going to finish on the G note at the 3rd fret of the low E string. So we just pretty easily made up a 3-octave lick that covers 4 different pentatonic patterns and all 6 strings. Pretty cool. Now we're going to do one more lick. This is an ascending lick, and it's kind of a monster. We're going to go all the way from the 5th position, or 5th pattern of A minor pentatonic, all the way up to the 1st pattern of A minor pentatonic at the 17th fret on the high E. We're going to be going from the 3rd fret of the low E to up to the 17th, actually the 20th fret of the high E. So let's give this thing a try. We're going to start at the G note at the 3rd fret of the low E, and we're going to play the 3rd and 5th fret on both the E and the A strings. Now we're going to slide. We've got our whole step transition from D to E. Now we're going to play our original 11-note pattern on the D and G strings. Now we're going to play frets 5, 7, and slide into the 9 on the G string, followed by frets 8 and 10 on the B and E. and a slide to the E at the 12th fret. We're going to descend through pattern 3 for a few notes, down to the G note at the 12th fret of the G string. Then we're going to shift up. We're going to slide a whole step up to the 14th fret. Then we're going to play frets 13 and 15 on the B string and slide to 17. We're going to play the fret 15 on the high E string, and we're going to slide to fret 17. Now we're going to go down the pentatonic pattern, starting at fret 20 of the high E for 5 notes. Then we're going to backtrack to fret 20 of the B string, and we're going to descend 8 notes. So we end up on fret 17 of our A string. I'm going to put that whole thing together, and it sounds like this. So in conclusion, we touched on some pretty cool things in this video, but we've only scratched the surface on what you can do with these pentatonic pathways. Take the time, chart the patterns out all over the neck, and look for those spots where you can either fret 3 notes on a string or make a slide to the next pattern. When you get those down cold, then start to make up your own licks, combining things like our 11-note pattern with position shifts, or changing directions between ascending and descending patterns, or trying to make up licks that move all the way up and down the neck, and you're going to be ripping killer pentatonic licks in no time. Once again, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Hey, leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you're looking for in these lessons. I'll do the best I can to accommodate you. And thanks, and I'll see you soon. Bye.